welcome you all, ladies and gentlemen. Madhiri Unfiltered. Welcome to our weekly news roundup, where we try to figure out what has been happening in our country. That also is linked because we are a channel of entrepreneurs, so politics and entrepreneurship are linked. But we try as much as possible to be a source of unbiased news. We just give updates. We know some people out there, they have no time to really check what's happening. Hence, we try to then do a coverage of the whole week, just a summary of key issues that will be obtaining in Zimbabwe. So today, I'm going to cover things like the independence celebrations in Gokwe and what one can interpret both politically and the state of Zimbabwe. I'm going also to go then to issues like the abduction of comrade Nyoka, then Tatenda Pinjisi's death and what it showcased about the Zimbabwean state of affairs. I will then conclude by other issues which you are to expect. So please watch till the end. I'll also try to make sure that this video is short enough. If I'm able to go below 6 minutes, I'll be very, very excited. So let's begin. Of April, which is Zimbabwe's prestigious Independence Day, where the nation got its own independence from the past British colonial rule. We saw it being celebrated in Gokwe as part of the devolution or the devolution campaign, whereby in the previous regime it used to be only held in Harare, but in the current government it shows that there have been some improvements. Last time it was held in areas such as Marondera, it went to Mount Darwin, always shifting and shifting. So, but we saw something very interesting. Why? Because publicity, they were trying also to publicize the event. And we saw a new stadium. It saw a new stadium being constructed, which could be a new development, by the way. One would just then say maybe the planners didn't prepare much in advance. But what then made the event worse was the fact that rains started to rain. Nature on duty calls. Nature code came to play. It really exposed a lot of things. The first thing, which had nothing to do with the stadium or preparation, was the state of roads. We saw some cars from the guys, the ZANU-PF supporters, being trapped by mud and being in mud. I think some even failing to get to the venue, and some went spoiled, their clothes spoiled by mud. We even saw the drills. They were doing drills. Those who were doing drills, the police and the defense forces, their shoes this time around were spoiled by mud and water. They were indeed marching in water, which could be interpreted as a sign of discipline. But if facilities were okay, I think the drainage was supposed to be okay, and also maybe a roof to cover on top. More so, the planners could have predicted the weather. Currently, we have nice, really accurate weather forecasts. So they could have predicted and maybe put something to cover around the area where the drills were going to happen. But obviously, being not involved, obviously one can criticize. Can also Mbora, you are likely to criticize. Then on the political front, what we saw in Gokwe was really interesting. Why? Because our flares were high. Last week, if you watched our last week episode, flares were really high. Why? Because people thought that maybe the VP wanted to topple the incumbent. But we really saw the VP participating, joking, laughing, shaking hands with the incumbent, which then really showed a sign of unity. Who knows what plays in the political backgrounds? It is believed that maybe the VP is keen on toppling the incumbent. We then saw Chiwenga Mnangagwa going to the VP to kneel down, which was a sign really maybe to illustrate that here we are intertwined, because Sean has been rumored to be the one planning against the moves of VP, and he is in charge of the president's security. So it could be a sign that we are indeed intact. Takashibata came in and to dispel all rumors. Then we saw a continuity of the 2030 slogan, but this time around it was covered in a way to the 2030 agenda of development, not 2030 for president, but you know that the words 2030 are a hot topic in the country and indeed in ZANU-PF. They are the unspoken, while the others want to speak them in a way. Others will try to speak them even Wakavika. We saw the likes of Jennifer Mswele ululating and shouting 2030, the 2030 mantra that Zimbabwe shall be a middle income economy. Who knows really? Let's wait and see. Maybe they will be the middle guys. Then we saw the military doing their drills. Nothing showed that they were against the president. Last time it was rumored that when rains were raining, the military in Bulawayo, they didn't continue with their parade. They went for cover. But this time around, the military didn't go for cover. Even the police, they continued with the drill, showing discipline. Even the CDF himself was also in the rain, and even the commander-in-chief himself was also in the rain. Then on issues that were gaining momentum, you remember the Nyoka camp, the Geza camp with these Nyoka guys. Now it has emerged that Nyoka was abducted. And currently, according to sources like Gokwe, he is rumored to be in prison somewhere in South Africa. But really, no one really understands what's happening to him. You can only get clues from audios. The other audio came appearing as if it was him speaking, arguing Zimbabweans to be patient, telling them that what befell him is what befalls people in the struggle. But ever since then, there's been no update. But one guy seems to be using his phone. He even updated us recently on the 19th of April, where he was urging people to be resilient and also celebrating Easter, sharing some insights in the way forward. And Comrade Geza is rumored to be sick, and there was a prophecy which came up which said he could be poisoned in his stomach, and it has been rumored that he is sick. But yesterday, one source claimed that he had become stronger. He was recovering quite well from his sickness. But all in all, one could say the Geza revolution is indeed dying down. It's no longer as it was before. Why? Because there's been a brief moment of breakdown between action and what they were promising. So one could say the Geza revolution is dying down, but they are trying to revive it. I hear them saying they have sent a proposal to Nelson Chamisa, while it's also waiting for Parliament to commence, because the president has since stopped, or rather maybe it's the Speaker of Parliament has since abandoned the Parliament until I think the next month. So really, a motion of impeachment seems to be brewing, and the president seems to be taking it really seriously. He's playing his cards. So all are waiting to see what will happen after the motion of impeachment. On a sad note, Tatenda Pinjisi death. One of the youngest Sonkura musicians in Zimbabwe, called Tatenda Pinjisi, had an accident recently. And after his accident, I do believe he was rushed to a hospital, where it is believed that when he got to the hospital, there was no electricity at the hospitals, and clips of him were circulated on social media whilst he was begging to be given painkillers, pain ease. Meaning to say that there was not even painkillers in the hospital, and painkillers couldn't come at the time. And it then led people, it was indeed may his soul rest in peace. It's a very sad situation, whereby it seems our hospitals are in a state of disaster, which I do believe is a state of national emergency, really. Why? Because if you don't have functional hospitals, it's almost like you are in a war situation. It's better maybe to call the likes of Red Cross Aid to chip in and to help, because this is a disaster. Imagine if an outbreak would start, just like things like cholera. Will we be able to contain it? That leaves a lot to be desired. We saw the likes of Nick Magwana sharing pictures of pharmacies saying they are all stocked. But empathy means also sympathizing with people. Sometimes you don't have to hide the truth. Rather, it will become propaganda. Although trying to do PR, but PR, when it is converted, when it is no empathy, when it is not speaking the truth, it turns into propaganda. And that's what we saw really when Nick Mangwana was sharing ARVs in hospitals, which were donated, which is supply, which has been donated by USAID because it's still there. So one wonders the state of our hospitals. They are really a death trap. Our hospitals, our roads. There is a video again which surfaced, which showed the state of our roads is in disaster. We've never seen such things in our country. And the impact of Trump's tariffs, I think I forgot it last time. The Minister of Finance has indeed done a very, very good move, I think, of cancelling all tariffs against the US, but the US has since not reciprocated, meaning Zimbabwe is now not charging any American product which gets into Zimbabwe, it gets to free. But if no corruption prevails, if there is no corruption, that means also American products should be cheaper. Your Coca-Cola, your Fanta, most of the beverages done by Total Beverages, you expect them to go down by quite some amount because there's no tariffs there. Your American takeaways like your KFCs, your tobacco should also, I think, to go down, and many other products, but chief among them are beverages, American beverages, which we consume on a daily basis in Zimbabwe. Your Pepsis and stuff, they should indeed go down. Meaning also, if America reciprocates, it will have also a double impact. American interests in Zimbabwe include Onki Mine, that's the Anglo-American, the British-American tobacco, and indeed the beverage sector in Zimbabwe. It's almost like they have a 98% market share in the tobacco industry. They are the leading, and in mining they are leading, and also historic ties. So that's the weekly roundup. Madhiri. See you next time. I've done a video on trending on the guy who is trending, Mr. Chivayo. Check it up there. It's out. See you next time. Cheers.